All right, well, welcome back. We're on deck. This is exam 85, section 3, logical reasoning. Let's start off here with question number 1. The issue is statements above, if true, most strongly support, which of the following. Okay. So, researchers put 2 electrodes in a pool that a dolphin swam in. When the dolphin swam near the electrodes, the researchers would sometimes create a weak electrical field by activating the electrodes. The dolphin would swim away if the electrodes were activated. Otherwise, it acted normally. So it's very straightforward. The researchers then placed a plastic shield over small organs called vibrissae crypts located on the dolphin's snout. Okay, so you place shields over certain organs. With the crypts covered, the dolphin no longer swam away when the electrodes were activated. Okay, well then, the connection you're making is that those crypts, that part of the dolphin's anatomy, has a sensitivity to electrical fields. Okay, that'll be the answer. A, in the wild, dolphins sometimes encounter strong electrical fields. No. B, vibrissae crypts enable dolphins to sense electrical fields. Absolutely, that's the answer, and just get out of there. This is they're rewarding you for using IRAC and thinking like a lawyer. Yeah, that's the answer. I mean, we'll read C, D, and E, but B's the answer. C, dolphins do not instinctually avoid electrical fields, but they can be trained to do so. That's not what this is. It's almost contrary. It mostly is contrary to the argument. D, electrical fields interfere with the normal functioning of the dolphin's vibrissae crypts. No, the crypts are there to detect the electrical field. Under normal circumstances, dolphins are unable to sense electrical fields. Again, that's the opposite of what's going on. So, 1, again, don't overthink this. 1, the answer is B. You should get it right. You should get it right in a hurry. You should move on. Question number 2. Which one of the following questions would most help in evaluating the argument? Okay, I don't know. Let's find out. In a study of honesty conducted in various retail stores, customers who paid in cash and received change were given an extra $1 with their change. Okay, so you gave me an extra $1 in change, I guess. A few people who received an extra $1 returned it. Okay, so this is all descriptive, yes. So, and here's the argument's conclusion. So, among those who received an extra $1, most behaved dishonestly. Well, I don't know that. This could be an assumption issue, but you would have to establish that I knew I had been given more money than I was supposed to get. Again, this is not a heavy lift. Would A help me evaluate this argument? A says, did those who received an extra $1 did those who received an extra $1 count their change? I'm so gone. A's the answer. How do you not pick A? And why in God's name would you look at B, C, D, and E? Okay, but we'll look at it here, but don't do this on the test. B, what percent of retail transactions studied were cash transactions? C, would the people who returned the extra $1 describe themselves as honest? Who cares? D, did the people who returned the extra $1 suspect that it was given to them intentionally? What a waste of time this is. E, does increasing the extra change to $5 have an effect on people's behavior? A. Question number 3. Again, this is section 3, prep test 85. We're looking at question number 3. And Dario and Cynthia disagree over something. Okay, let's see what you disagree over. Here's Dario. And again, you want the answer in your mind before you ever look at an answer choice. So that's what I'm trying to do. You know, the government, Dario says, the government should continue to grant patents for all new drug compounds. Patents promote innovation by rewarding pharmaceutical companies for undertaking the costly research needed to develop new drugs. So I have Dario's conclusion, which is the first sentence, right? Grant the patents for all new drug compounds. I have his reasoning, which is the second sentence, which is you want to promote the innovation by rewarding pharmaceutical companies when they undertake costly research. Got it. Cynthia says, promoting innovation is certainly important. Okay. For this reason, patents should be granted only for truly innovative drugs, not for minor variants of previously existing drugs. So they disagree about whether patents should be granted for all new drug compounds. Now I'll keep reading, but that's the answer. So Cynthia goes on to say, since it is much less expensive to tweak an existing drug than to develop a wholly new one, pharmaceutical companies tend to focus primarily on the cheaper alternative. Okay, so what do they disagree about? Again, you got to come in here and say the heart of what they agree about is whether patents should be issued on all drugs or just on ones that are truly innovative. And A says they disagree that pharmaceutical companies should be rewarded for pursuing innovation. They don't disagree on that. B says they disagree that patents should be granted for all drug compounds. Now, why in God, again, why are you reading? The first three answers are B, A, and B, and none of them require additional reading. So C, developing truly innovative drugs is costly. There's no reason to think they disagree on that. D, pharmaceutical companies have an incentive to create minor variants of existing drugs. You know, Dario is silent on that, so I have no idea whether Dario would agree with that. So there's no evidence they disagree. To disagree, they both have to be explicit. And E, drug patents can promote innovation. Again, there's no reason to believe they disagree. So the answer is B. Don't overthink this test, particularly when you're at the beginning of this test and you have a strong sense for, I got the issue, I got the law, I performed the analysis, I have something right here in my mind, and I'm just looking to match it with the answer choice, please. Okay, so for the conclusion follows above, the conclusion drawn above follows logically if which one of the following is assumed. So it's a sufficient assumption. Okay. So what do I have here? You know, there are only two possible reasons that it would be wrong to engage in an activity that causes pollution. Okay, there's only two possible reasons that it would be wrong to engage in activity that causes pollution. Because pollution harms ecosystems, which are valuable in themselves. Okay, that's one reason, right, which is that pollution harms ecosystems, which are valuable in themselves. Or, you know, ecosystems aside, because pollution harms human populations. So I'm told that there are only two possible reasons that it would be wrong to engage in an activity that causes pollution. So it's not a statement you would ordinarily hear made, right? But this is the law. Okay. So I'm going to refrain from polluting when it harms an ecosystem or when it harms the human population. That's it. Ecosystem, human population. Next sentence. Either way, it would not be wrong. So it's not wrong to perform mining operation on Mars. Tell me why it's not wrong. So it's okay to do this on Mars, right? Although doing so would pollute Mars, the small human presence needed to run the mining operation would be completely protected from the Martian environment and would suffer no harm. So the conclusion is here, right, that when we get to Mars, it would not be wrong to perform the mining operations. And then one of the two reasons is discussed, right? You can't harm the human population. But But what you haven't addressed is the ecosystem. So what you have to assume for this conclusion to be valid is that Mars does not have an ecosystem. Then I've got both of them covered. Okay, A, mining creates less pollution than many other human activities. It doesn't matter. It's not a relative thing. You don't create. No. B, there are no ecosystems on Mars. Again, if you take the time and form the answer in your mind, you're there. B's the answer. Just get out. C, the economic benefit of mining on Mars would outweigh its cost. This argument has nothing to do with economic benefit. That's something you would have brought in from the outside. D, it is technologically feasible to perform mining operations. It's relevant. And E, the more complex an ecosystem is, the more valuable it is. Who cares? It's not about the complexity of it. You cannot pollute when it results in harming an ecosystem, complex or not. So, again, I look at questions 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm looking here at B, A, B, and B. How much time do you pick up when you embrace the psychometric nature of this test, when you become familiar with the test, which is, it's very likely that in your first 10 questions, the first 10 questions of logical reasoning you encounter are, the vast majority of them are among the most approachable that you will encounter. Okay, question number 5. Which one of the following most logically completes the argument? I don't know. Let's find out. A person with low self-esteem will be treated disrespectfully more often than will a person with high self-esteem. Okay, you're telling me that low self-esteem, if you have low self-esteem, I guess to some degree you're inviting disrespect. Next sentence. Moreover, a recent experiment found that when people with low self-esteem and those with high self-esteem are both confronted with the same treatment by others, right? So the treatment's the same. People with low self-esteem are much more likely to feel that they have been treated disrespectfully. And then you have thus. So finish this in your own mind. If you start off with the premise that when you have low self-esteem, you actually will be treated more disrespectfully than somebody with high self-esteem, right? So that's actually reality. But then this second sentence says, you know what, not only is it when it's real, but it can be imagined that you're not being treated any different than somebody with high self-esteem. And yet you feel that you have been treated disrespectfully. So, I mean, the outcome of this is when you have low self-esteem, your view of the universe is going to be you are treated more disrespectfully more often than someone who has high self-esteem. Something like that. Okay. A. People with low self-esteem are usually right when they think they've been treated disrespectfully. No, because that whole second part of this is you were wrong. B. Being treated disrespectfully tends to cause a person to develop lower self-esteem, and that's got this reversed. It's that the lower self-esteem causes you to believe that you're treated disrespectfully. That's conflating cause and effect. C. If an individual has been treated disrespectfully, it is probably because the individual was perceived to have low self-esteem. No, it's not. There's nothing in here about there being a probability that, if you're treated disrespectfully, it's probable that the individual was perceived to have self-esteem. The speaker may have no clue whether you yourself feel you have low self-esteem or not. D. People with low self-esteem more frequently think that they are being treated disrespectfully than do people with high self-esteem. And if you got to D, how would you not choose D? I mean, for me, anyways. Yeah, that's where this is going. And E, a person with low self-esteem will be more inclined to treat others disrespectfully than we have no clue of that. Then, will a person with high self-esteem? We have no clue whether it's mutual or not. Okay, so then we'll hold it there. The answer to question number 5 is D for Drusus.